We're back with all new episode, Smartest Guy in My Head podcast, Workhorse Media Group. It's me. Like, share, subscribe, share again, comment, engage, all of the things that you already do. I appreciate it. But keep doing it. It's all about growth. Anyway, it's Black History Month. What do you know? And it could be just me. Could be. But it seems like Black History Month is kind of falling off from since when I was a kid. It just feels like it was a bigger deal back in the day. I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't been to many Black History programs or anything like that, and they were just like abundant when I was younger. But this is what I'm dedicating this month to, Black History Month. And of course, we're going to celebrate the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Rosa Parks, and so on and so forth. Figures like that, as we always do, as we should. But this month, I want to focus on maybe some of the more interesting, lesser known figures in Black History Month. So this is what we're doing. This is how we're starting off. So again, you know the drill. Comment, engage, share. I'll promise I'll try to get back with you. But this is how we're going to start. We're starting with Betty Boop. Right? I go on all that about Black history and I start with a white cartoon character. But it'll make sense in a second. Just hang in there with me. So I think we all know who Betty Boop is. I know I did because when I was going to school growing up, that's all I saw on book bags and notebooks and tablets and all that kind of stuff. All the girls were always wearing some kind of Betty Boop apparel. And I love cartoons, and Betty Boop was a cartoon, obviously. Betty Boop was created in the early 1930s by Max Fleischer. I probably should have learned how to say his name before I got on here. But it was designed by Max F. I'm gonna call him Max F. In the early 1930s, and it was a depiction. Betty Boop was a depiction of flappers. This is a better word for what they thought at the time were promiscuous women. How dare a woman wear a dress to show her ankle or her shoulder? But that's what a flapper was. A flapper back in the 20s and 30s was just women that owned their sexuality, basically. But it didn't get that deep with Betty Boop. She did have shorter dresses. She did have kind of qualities about her figure drawn to kind of show off the chest, the hips area, and it wasn't like that before. So this is what Betty Boop. She was a big hit across cartoons. She became a staple, and she had this distinct style about herself. She had the childlike, baby-like voice, and her sounds that she made, the boop-a-doop. You know what I mean? You know how Betty Boop sound. But that was her style. That was her sound. So moving on, a lot of people give Clara Bow, who was a singer and an actor in the early 1920s, late 1920s, early 1930s. A lot of people give her credit with being the inspiration behind Betty Boop. Helen Kane takes credit for being the inspiration behind Betty Boop. She was also a singer, actor, entertainer in the same time period, late 1920s, early 1930s. And actually, Helen Kane took Max F and the Disney Corporation Paramount, took them to court because she claimed that Betty Boop was a depiction of her style and she doesn't get any credit for that. So she actually went to court. And long story short, she lost in court because it was discovered that her style wasn't her own. She also used the boop-a-doop or wada-doop. Boop-a-doop, wada-doop. It's not really a tongue twist. I kind of messed it up. Boop-a-doop. Boop. Okay. She used the boop-a-doop style, but it was found out that she adopted that style from, drumroll please, gotta add a drum roll in here, Esther Lee Jones. Told you, stick with me. Esther Lee Jones was a child entertainer in Chicago back in the late 1920s, early 1930s. She went by Little Esther or Baby Esther on stage, and it was discovered that she had her Boopadoop style, Wadadoop style, and that's where Helen Kane got it from. Helen Kane actually attended a show that Esther Lee Jones had performed before in Chicago, and she kind of adopted that style into what she took into the mainstream. And it was only discovered because Lou Bolton was the manager for Esther Lee Jones at the time. And at trial, Helen Kane and Paramount Corporation, they were at trial for a good while until they got proof. Lou Bolton came back with proof of Esther Lee Jones performing one night. It was a recording, and they played it in court, and it sounded exactly like Helen Kane. So this was before Helen Kane kind of blew up with that style, and it was determined that Helen Kane had gotten that style from Esther Lee Jones. Therefore, it's not her own. Therefore, Betty Boop wasn't really technically based off Helen Kane. It was really based off Esther Lee Jones. It was just a white woman. She just wasn't black. So maybe Helen Kane would have had a better argument if she was talking about the characterization, the face. But you can't really say, oh, Betty Boop is a white woman, I'm a white woman, so therefore you basing it off of me. So you really stuck between a rock and a hard place at that. So all that to say, Esther Lee Jones, or Baby Esther, she deserves her flowers. She was actually the inspiration behind Betty Boop, a black woman. Go figure. Never knew this. Hopefully this was interesting, as interesting to you as it was to me when I read it. I thought it was pretty cool. And all month, I'm bringing stuff like this to the channel. We gotta pump. We gotta get it back pumping up over here on Black History Month. I can't let it fall. I'm not gonna let it fall off. I'm gonna do my job. You help me. Help me. Help you. Help me. Kind of got lost right there. Anyway, that's it. Stay tuned for the B Block. We're talking about the Super Bowl. I know you see me give like a lot of stats all the time on sports, but you can throw the stats out the window. All right, this is a game for the chip. Stay tuned. More coming.